And here's your arc. This is the bow. Forms an arc. It's the surface of the lens. This is your Ark of the Covenant. It's actually the arc too of the flood. 40, 40, 40, 40. I can't repeat that enough. 2020 vision is 40. 2020 is 40. Noah passed through. Narrow gate. What did Jesus say? If don't take the speck, asking someone else to take the speck out of their eye when you have a beam in yours. The speck is the remnant. They look like specks. The beam fits in through this wide gate, which is your iris and your pupil, but the speck can fit through the narrow gate. And this is the highway canal. This is what Jesus was talking about when he said the road is narrow. He was trying to tell you that the truth, the kingdom of heaven is within. That's in the Bible too. He said the kingdom of heaven is within. What he was telling you was that the truth about who he is, that proves who he is, because no one knew this inner anatomy and physiology. But the first clue that he gave us was when he was in the temple with the doctors. That right there, the very first miracle Jesus ever performed, should have given us the clues of what to look for. But this is a two-way street. And people can say, well, how did Jesus expect us to know anatomy? And how? He's showing you right now through my lips. The question is, are you going to believe it? Is your ego going to allow you to listen to the words of a sinner? I'm a sinner just like all of you. I'm no one special. But when you hear the truth, you have a choice to make. Are you going to accept it? Doesn't matter whose mouth it's coming out of. The truth is the truth. But a lot of people will reject this because they didn't hear it from a pastor. A lot of people will reject this because they will say, this, why now? Why you? Their ego will take over. They will deny the information, no matter how detailed I get into this. I'm in the chat and I see you guys making more connections. Apple of my eye. Israel's the apple of my eye. Exactly. And it goes on and on and on. Identify this, says Siri backwards is Iris. Exactly. Once you understand that the reason why the Illuminati chose the eye is to throw you off the trail. They don't want you to be looking into the eye for truth. Therefore, they've chosen the most symbolic and revelatory, if that's a word, image and object, so that you'll never look inside of it to find the answers. But yet all the answers are right here. So now we have two examples, the flood and the Exodus out of Egypt. But there's one more. You ready for this? It's going to blow you away. How long did Jesus fast in the wilderness? He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, this is where things get interesting, because while Noah was in the ark, they were cut off from the world's food supply. They had loaded up the ark with all these supplies, but in effect, they were fasting from the world. And when the Israelites passed through the Red Sea for 40 years, they were fasting. What were they given? They were given manna. And when Jesus was fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, now you get why the hyaloid canal is the umbilical cord of the child. Because what is a child doing in the womb? They are in effect fasting. No solid food, living off of the nutrients of the mother. And if that doesn't drive it all home for you, I don't know what will. hiding in plain sight. The kingdom of heaven is within you. There is the proof of the one and only true God. We haven't even got to the cross yet. We're still in the eye. We haven't even got to the cross yet. How did the writers of the flood and the writers of the Bible who wrote about the Exodus, they had no idea there was a hyaloid canal inside your eye. They had no idea what the structure of the inner eye was. How did they know? Because God told them, and Noah listened through faith, and he acted out and played out. The history of the world was played out through the Bible patriarchs to overlay our inner anatomy so that one day when the knowledge increased, all who would know who the true God is. There would be no denying Jesus at this point. Well, we haven't even got to Jesus yet, but right now we just confirmed the entire Old Testament. We'll get into the New Testament on later shows, but I'll give you a little teaser. Because you guys are smart, you know there's two eyes in your head, and you know that these optic nerves cross in the middle of your brain, and you know at the crucifixion of the cross, there were two thieves, one at the right and one at the left of Jesus. They are the eyes. Stealing, thieves stealing your salvation through the looking out instead of looking within. And we'll go into much more detail in future shows. But that is the gist of it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in this eye that I've missed. Oh, why won't this turn sideways? Let's do this. Let's close this. Let's do this. What I wanted to do was show you guys, the pineal is the seat of the soul. And your pineal gland, it's an antenna. I want to be clear. It is simply an antenna. It is powered and driven by the Holy Spirit, or it can be powered and driven by evil. That's why Jesus said, the eye is the lamp of the body. He was talking about your pineal. He said if your eye is single, which means one, the pineal, your whole body will be full of light. But he said if your eye is dark, your whole body will be full of darkness. And it is true. Your pineal in utero, in the womb, is developed at 49 days. That is when your soul is put into your body. At 49 days, which is 7 times 7, 77. And 7 is the number of Christ. 7 is the number of Christ. So guess what? You know the morning after pill? They just extended use for the morning after pill past 7 weeks. Why did they do that? It is so that technically a mother could murder her child. That's after the pineal gland is established and developed in the fetus with a pill. This is how evil these people are. Now, I know this is a lot of information, so we're going to go slow. We're in the eye. Trying to think if there's anything I've missed. Here's the playlist. For those of you that want to jump ahead, please don't jump too far ahead. And if you want to, that's fine. And then if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat. This is the playlist, the body code, the kingdom of heaven mapped within you. I've got 76 videos. A lot of them are very short. This one's very in depth. What we're going to get to next on future shows is the history of the world mapped out in the pathway of light. We're going to go through this whole pathway. We're going to go through the earth ages. We're going to show Yeshua in the middle. I'm going to show you the entire thing. What else do we have here? Let's go back in here. So that's what's going on. I had to switch some things around. I had this messed up a little bit. We have this duality world, right? Good and evil. These are the trees of the knowledge of good and evil. These are your eyes. That's why Eve's eyes were opened. This doesn't mean Eve was evil, but I had to put her on that side. It's the duality that I'm trying to show here. Abel is actually supposed to be on this side with Adam. Cain is supposed to be over here. So I had to switch these around a bit because early on I got a little confused. I put all this together. I didn't borrow this from anything. We're going to go through that. We're also going to go through the earth ages. I'm going to show you how every event or every section of the entire Bible falls into the earth ages. What are the earth ages, Casey? The earth ages were 2,000-year periods in which a constellation was dominant on the horizon at the setting sun for that 2,000-year period. And that is called the precession of the equinox. This is a natural phenomenon in which every 2,000 years, a new constellation is dominant in the sky on the horizon in the east or the west, I think it is. I can't remember if it's the rising sun or the setting sun. And what we found in the Bible, again, this was an original discovery here on Into the Stars, was that for every 2,000-year period, that constellation, its name was prominent in the Bible stories. Again, how would they have known that? Unless it was inspired by God. So when people tell me that the Bible is written by Freemasons to control all of us, I reject that. Unless you think Freemasons are gods that created us. Okay? The Bible is the one fragment, the one remnant of truth that was God spiritually, through spiritual law, has allowed us to keep and hold on to and read to find the truth. It's also in the body code as well. And that's what we're showing you guys on this show. But basically, I map out all of the events in the Bible that overlay the zodiac. What is the zodiac? Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. Yes, it overlay it exactly. This isn't astrology. I'm not an astrologer. I'm simply showing you what's in the sky. The signs are in the sky, which is, it says that in the Bible too. All right. I think that's, man, my brain's about to explode. I can only imagine what your guys' brains are doing right now. So what I'm going to do is answer some questions after a 5-minute potty break in the chat, and then we'll be all ready for part 2. Probably in a couple of days, you guys. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. And let's do a little question and answer session for any parts of this that might not make sense for you guys, or may have didn't quite settle in. You guys have any questions about it? The beauty of what we do here on this channel is I'm not asking you guys for anything. I'm not passing around a collection plate. This knowledge is free. I hope that other channels pick up on this and talk about it. And that's the difference. Now, Timothy asks, so if this is the age of Aquarius, what's next? I'm glad you asked that. Let's talk about the ministry of Christ. Now, it's interesting because people that don't see everything that I'm presenting, sometimes the fundamental Christians will attack me. And they will say, how can this be the most important discovery? The gospel is. Yes, the gospel is. But until you understand this, you'll never understand the gospel. You have to get the whole picture in order to appreciate the gospel. Then all of a sudden, the gospel makes so much more sense. Let me explain to you the life of Jesus, and this is going to blow you away. Because everything that Jesus did had to do with water. And we're going to show this in the history following the pathway of light in the brain in future things. But I'm just going to kind of give you a 30,000 foot view. He turned water into wine. He cast the net to the right side in the water to collect the fish. He turned 2 fish into to feed the crowd. And it's interesting because those 2 fish represent the age of Pisces. Pisces, the symbol for Pisces is 2 fish, and that was the age that Jesus was born in. He was born in the age of Pisces. What else did he do? He walked on water. I'm telling you all the water themes in the Bible. This is just off the top of my head. I may miss some. He told his disciple to go and catch a fish, and there would be a coin in its mouth to pay tribute to Caesar. Baptism. Everything had to do with water. Why did Jesus say be born again? Are you starting to understand why you have to be immersed in the water? Because when you're immersed in the vitreous humor of the eye, you're born into a new world, into a new bloodline. You're born into the bloodline of Christ.